Hello, Cowboys Nation. Welcome back. Let me ask you something right out of the gate. When was the last time change actually felt real in Dallas? Not a tweak. Not a reshuffle. Real, uncomfortable, culture-shifting change. Because as iconic as the star is, as massive as AT&T Stadium, Jerry World, looms over the league, the truth is this: history alone doesn't win games anymore. And right now, the Dallas Cowboys are standing at a crossroads that feels bigger than just another offseason. This is America's team. 5 Lombardi trophies. Legends like Tom Landry setting the standard for modern coaching, Roger Staubach redefining leadership at quarterback, Emmitt Smith grinding out yards behind that legendary offensive line, Troy Aikman delivering strikes with surgical precision, Michael Irvin bringing swagger and fire to every huddle. This franchise doesn't rebuild quietly. It reloads, or at least, it's supposed to. But here's where it gets really interesting. The 2026 off-season conversation isn't just about who to add. It's about who cannot come back if this team is serious about competing in January instead of talking about January. Because Cowboys Nation doesn't hang banners for almost. They expect parades. Let's start up front, where games are still won and lost, even in a pass-happy NFL. Offensive tackle Terrence Steele is one of those stories you genuinely want to root for. Undrafted. 6 seasons. Over 90 starts. That's not luck. That's perseverance. And as a run blocker, Steele has had moments where he's been among the better right tackles in football. When the Cowboys are leaning on the ground game, when they're trying to impose their will, he can move bodies. But football has evolved. This isn't 2003 anymore. You cannot survive in today's NFL if your right tackle is a weekly liability in pass protection. You just can't. Especially when your quarterback is Dak Prescott, a franchise QB whose success depends on timing, rhythm, and trust in the pocket. A quarterback, for anyone new here, is the player who throws the ball and directs the offense. He needs time, and Steele hasn't consistently provided it. Terrence Steele turns 29 in June. He's on his 3rd offensive line coach. And that matters. Pass protection isn't just about effort, it's about footwork, balance, reaction time. Those don't magically improve as athleticism declines. If anything, the margin for error gets thinner. And with Tyler Guyton needing more snaps, more development, more trust, the Cowboys can't keep ignoring the same problem on the other edge. Financially, this is one of the cleanest decisions Dallas can make. Steele is set to count over $18 million against the 2026 cap. Cut him outright, and you save nearly $9 million immediately. Money you can use the moment free agency opens. Designate him as a post, June 1st cut, and you're looking at around $14 million in relief later in the year. Either way, this is flexibility the Cowboys desperately need. Now let's slide over to the other side of the ball, because this is where the season truly unraveled. Defense. And more specifically, the man in charge of it, defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus. When Eberflus returned to Dallas, the messaging sounded right. Adjust the scheme to the players. Maximize talent. Put stars like Micah Parsons in positions to dominate. And yes, losing Micah Parsons via trade hurt. There's no sugarcoating that. Parsons is a game wrecker, the kind of defensive player who forces offenses to rewrite their game plans. But that trade doesn't explain everything. It doesn't explain why Trayvon Diggs looked disconnected. It doesn't explain why the linebacker unit was consistently the worst group on the field. It doesn't explain why players across the board looked slower, less confident, and frankly confused. This wasn't a bad stretch. This was an epically poor defensive season. Missed assignments. Soft zones. No identity. And the most damning part? Everyone regressed. When your best players look worse year over year, that's not random. That's coaching. Eberflus said he'd adapt. What we saw was the opposite. Square pegs, round holes. And in the NFL, where the defensive line's job is to pressure the quarterback and the secondary's job is to prevent touchdowns. 6 points scored when a player crosses the goal line, this defense failed at the basics. If the Cowboys want credibility as a serious contender, this has to be a clean sweep. Most of the defensive staff are Eberflus guys. One possible exception is defensive line coach Aaron White-Cotton, who comes from the Robert Saleh and Gus Bradley coaching tree. That lineage emphasizes aggression and discipline. In a better scheme, that group might actually flourish. But the message is clear. You cannot bring Matt Eberflus back and expect the locker room or the fan base to buy in. And speaking of linebackers, let's talk about Kenneth Murray. This one is frustrating. Murray became a favorite of the defensive coordinator, partly out of necessity. Injuries piled up. Jack Sanborn struggled early, then went down. Marist Liufau didn't develop. Logan Wilson didn't really arrive until November. But necessity doesn't excuse stubbornness. Murray, once a first-round pick, looked lost. Slow reads. Poor angles. Little explosion. Watching him diagnose plays felt like a throwback in the worst way, like a post-prime Jalen Smith, reacting instead of anticipating. And yet, his role never shrank. Murray will be a free agent in 2026, and the Cowboys should not hesitate here. This season showed exactly why the Chargers moved on and why Tennessee was willing to give him up for a 7th-round pick. Let him walk. Clear the $7.4 million in cap space. Give the next defensive coordinator a chance with linebackers who can actually fit a modern NFL defense. Now let's shift to a phase of the game that often gets ignored until it costs you. Special teams. Nick Sorensen had an impossible act to follow. Replacing John Bones Fassel is like replacing a Hall of Fame drummer and expecting the beat to stay the same. Fassel is a guru, a legend. But Sorensen didn't just fail to match that level. The unit regressed. Yes, Brandon Aubrey was still automatic. Brian Anger did his job. Trent Sieg remained steady. But everything else? Coverage units leaking yards. Return games going nowhere. Cavante Turpin, once a spark plug, became a non-factor. And field position matters. When your defense is already struggling, consistently giving opponents short fields is a recipe for disaster. Sorensen's ties to Brian Schottenheimer go back years, but if Schottenheimer wants his second season to feel different, tough decisions are required. Here's a fascinating idea. C.J. Goodwin, longtime Cowboys special teams ace, team leader. He turns 36 soon, runs football camps in West Virginia, and screams, future coach. Maybe not coordinator right away, but as an assistant, that could be the start of something meaningful. Finally, let's talk about the back end of the defense, the safeties. Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker. When Eberflus arrived, there was hope, especially given his history with Hooker in Indianapolis. That hope didn't materialize. Wilson is an occasional playmaker, but he's always been a safety who plays like a linebacker, without the size to fully embrace that hybrid role. He turns 29, his contract is up, and the inconsistencies in pass coverage remain. Hooker, meanwhile, carries a $9 million cap hit next season. Cutting him saves $7 million. That's significant. Dallas does have younger, cheaper options like Wanya Thomas, who could be retained as a restricted free agent. But simply promoting from within feels like more of the same. And the Cowboys cannot afford more of the same. This defense needs a true infusion of talent. New voices. New energy. Whether it's parting with one safety or both, standing pat is the wrong move. So here we are. America's team. A proud fan base. A stadium that feels like a monument. And an offseason that could define the next decade. Change is hard. It's uncomfortable. But sometimes, it's the only way forward. What do you think, Cowboys Nation? Are these the right moves? Who else needs to go? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you're riding with a star no matter what, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Because one way or another, the next chapter in Dallas is about to be written, and it's going to be loud.